I believe we're live right now. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another roast shop of our series with cohort coaches. Today we have one new face for our weekly roast shop, Amy. And Amy's also one of the coaches for the cohort program, our 10-week advanced internship. And we currently how are the teams doing so far, our coaches?
They're doing great. They're doing great work.
So
They
good.
just finished their research presentation, so now they're moving on to ideation. Yeah, starting to actually, work on design soon. So that's going to be very exciting.
Mm, nice. Okay, cool. So let me share the screen and kind of first launch the products that we're um, just built in-house for all the team to use. How have your team experience with Copass been so far? Is there any virtual comments, critiques for the product?
I haven't heard anything. Seems like they're using it pretty
Mm,
well. I honestly haven't played around too much with it either, so
got it.
but I mean everyone seems to be using it and it's going well.
So based on previous feedback, this time we're gonna go a bit harsher in terms of how we critique the portfolio. But if you really want to submit your portfolio for some reviews, first of all, go and sign up for a beta account with our Copass AI. With this, you basically get an observer seat to our students' projects, the 10-week advanced internship, and you get to participate in our weekly lecture, which are open to free to all observer of Copass. So far we have 122 and we have 200 spots in totals for free beta. So come and grab it and then submit your portfolio in the comments of this LinkedIn Live to get it roasted. We're gonna prioritize roasting portfolios in general and not specific case study. So it's gonna be more first impression, how you kind of design the layouts, how you organize information. And this part, Jenny is a content designer at Meta, so she will go very specific in terms of copies that might be more effective for portfolio design. So we can get started in a bit. And if anyone want to drop their current location, where they're based at, would be nice to see diversity of where people are based in. So currently I'm in Ohio. It's supposed to be pretty sunny according to the weather forecast, but somehow it's raining-ish right now. So that's my situation. How about everyone?
Pretty similar weather in Seattle, Washington, but
Oh,
hoping for the sun to come out next week.
okay.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna get so hot though. I'm also based in Washington, so it's a little gloomy right now, but it's not raining, so that's a win for us.
I see.
And I'm in San Francisco.
Oh my god. Is it cold at all or
No, it's like 66 degrees Fahrenheit.
okay, okay.
So it's really nice weather. Yeah. But I'm cold all the time. So I'm not the best person to ask. I have a heated jacket that everybody always asks me about because it's SF. It's the literally if you turn one corner, it's really windy, but then the next is really sunny. So I never know.
Mm.
How does your jacket work? Is it like rechargeable
Oh my gosh,
battery
okay, should I
powered?
go grab it? I'm not sponsored by this brand, by the
Oh,
way. But I might as well be. It's there's two buttons. One controls my chest and one controls my arms. And yeah, it's a rechargeable battery. So I
that's so
charge it every
cool.
night. And sometimes I leave the house, I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to charge my jacket.
Need to invest in this.
It's really good. It's Aurora, ORORO.
Okay, let's get started with the first one so it doesn't take much time. Um, this one is
Can
the
we
earliest portfolio.
introduce ourselves real quick,
Oh
Min?
yeah, sure, yeah, yeah. As I pull it up. y'all can
Yeah.
introduce yourself.
Okay, I can go. I'm Kathy. I am a product designer. I worked at Dropbox, and I most recently was at Snorkel AI, which is a 200-person company, Series D. I'm like super excited about AI tools. Recently won an OpenAI hackathon, so I'm super
Ooh,
excited to roast portfolios.
perfect. Okay, you can popcorn.
Yeah,
Jenny.
Yeah, I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny, currently a content designer at Meta. Have a lot of experience in all sorts of B2B, B2C, direct to consumer, all of that stuff. Pretty excited to be here and just share a lot of thoughts, especially from the content design perspective, because I think sometimes we think about content, but then not to the point of like, what exactly is it trying to do? So yeah, happy to be here. Get ready for some roasts. And now I'll pass it off to Amy.
Thank you. So I'm Amy, and this is my first portfolio roast. So I'm also a cohort 20 coach, and I'm currently at Microsoft working on cybersecurity AI tools. In the past, I've worked at design agencies and smaller mid-sized tech companies, so just a variety of like different situations and industries. And I have a background in architecture, so I am an example of someone who has successfully pivoted into UX. So it's very possible for everybody, and it's always exciting when I meet people who are trying to switch. Yeah, excited to review some portfolios today.
Okay, cool. Let's get started with the first one. So this is Mayuka. Okay, really cute Powerpuff Girls theme. I pasted a link in the private chat for any coach who want to like look at it more closely.
I mean, first impression, it's very cute. I do like it when designers aren't afraid to put like unique graphic elements in their portfolio, because I think one of my hot takes is a lot of portfolios start looking like very similar after a while. And if you want to stand out, it's not a bad idea to put something like interesting graphically. Like for example, on my portfolio, I have like a little poll asking like how you're doing today, and like with like some custom things that I've coded. So I feel like something where it makes you memorable quickly is a good idea, but I know it's like a little bit riskier to put like any like thing that might like make people think of you one way or another. Like if they might categorize you as like, oh, you're like a playful designer, maybe she's not serious. Like that is kind of the risk of putting like different things that might like, you know, shape people's view of you. But personally, I'm a fan of this.
Nice. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I love the personality. I love the Powerpuff Girls theme. Super cute. And I like that you're showing your personality like right off the bat. Like accessibility, evangelist, artist, connoisseur of dad jokes. I think a lot of designers, what I notice is they're afraid of being like super like specific or like kind of like isolating themselves into a niche. But I don't even think that's like a thing, because most early career design roles, like they're like for like generalists. They're like for generalist product designers. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, like just because I'm in this like niche, like nobody's gonna hire me. That's not true. So there's no disadvantage to like showing your personality and showing like, hey, I specifically like to focus on this, because that's like a conversation starter. So I think you did a good job right off the bat.
I have some thoughts, and this is, I think, this kind of shows to like how each recruiter is different, each hiring manager is different. They might take certain things away from this portfolio than you intended, or like get right on the dot. I can definitely tell your personality a little bit, but in certain areas, I feel like it's a little bit like, I don't know, it could be refined a little. But going top to down, the first line, which is like right under the accessibility evangelist, I think that those tags are cool, to Kathy's point. But then design is my superpower to make everyone feel included. I was just like honing in on that sentence, thinking like, can we just rephrase it to like, my superpower is to create designs to make everyone feel included. I just feel like that was just a little nit from me, saying like, maybe there are ways that we can be just more active and proactive with every single piece of line of content that we have. I like the highlight here, the years of experience and the industries that you've done, but then that subtext under explore my projects, I was like, I not only pitch buzzwords, I show receipts, have a look. I see what you're saying, but I feel like certain points can be just refined overall. But again, this is just me being my own perspective. If you feel a certain way, go ahead, because this is your portfolio. And then when you go into the project itself, I think there's a mismatch on the structure of how you put the what is that? The subtext that shows up when you hover on part. Some of them start with like, this is what it is and like what it does. Some of them talks about the purpose of what it is. I think if you just clean that up, that can help with your story. And last but not least, the way bottom, the footer, which is like, you've seen my superpowers. It's only fair I get to learn about yours. I don't necessarily know what's your intention there. I think what you're saying is you want me to reach out to you and then you'll learn about me. But then I think, again, it's just like refining the content here would help with just making sure that people are getting what they need and you're able to encourage that next step of communication or action. But yeah, I think it's super cute. I love the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
I feel like, Jenny, your insight is really useful because content design is not something everyone thinks about, especially in their portfolio. So that's great.
Yeah, like in the tools that make me a superhero, I was just watching it go by. I think for one of the Adobe Suite ones, it's like just another tool for design. And I'm like, I mean, there too, you could just really emphasize on like what you're doing or like what you have done or how proficient you are with certain things. Then it's like, oh, as you even scroll through, there's a lot of bits and pieces they can learn about you.
I have a specific nit. There's like 2 exclamation points at the very beginning, and I think it's too much. I use exclamation marks like profusely, and sometimes I think it makes me come off as like, I don't know, like not serious. So I would try to like tone that down. Another thing is sentence casing. Sentence casing is good for readability. I noticed that most of this is not sentence cased, it's title cased. So that is like one small thing that you can fix right away. And show that as a designer, like you understand that like sentence casing is best for readability. And then another thing, industry served 6+. Like I don't know if that really serves any value. Honestly, my first thought was like, I wonder if she put that there just because like she wanted to like fill up space because 4 is like good for the grid. So I would try to find something else to put there. Like I don't know, like I wouldn't go up to a hiring manager and be like, oh, I've served like 6+ industries. I would just say like what industries I've actually served, right? So yeah, I say this because you don't want to be a designer, because I've been there. You don't want to be a designer that like put stuff there just to fill space so visually it looks balanced. Like you don't want to be known for that.
Nice.
Should we go into a specific case study?
Sure. Yeah. Let's like rapid fire through this. We can do this. Yeah.
One thing I noticed real quick on a lot of these is that the top image, because it's so big, it's like a little blurry. I've noticed that for multiple of the projects. So I think that's something to look at because it depends on your screen size, but I'm looking at it on a big screen, and I have a feeling a lot of recruiters and hiring managers will be looking at it on that screen size as well.
Agree with that. Okay. I'm looking at the Unreal from doom scrolling. Skip the solution.
Where I'm reading the background, and in the TLDR where it says to solve this, I conducted research. That is a waste of a sentence. Like every single designer can say, I conducted research, I explored concepts, I did iterative design process, expert insights, business considerations, user testing. Like that, there's no point of saying something like that. Like either you put in numbers to make it super specific, like what exactly did you do? Because that sentence isn't really serving any value unless you can make it specific to you and specific to this project.
Plus one on that, especially since it's in the TLDR, then just pull up everything that you can on that TLDR. Really make this impactful that if a recruiter clicked onto this and they read this, it's like, okay, this is all I need to know to say this project or this case study probably hits the marks that we're looking for, like does the different techniques that we're looking. They have a good sense of what kind of level of like depth that people are looking for. Because to Kathy's point, like if you're just surface level, then that's your limit. Like they can't give you bigger projects, they can't give you more complex situations. Like they need to see that you're able to think like very wide, but also be very like clear on what you're advocating for as a UX specialist. I also wonder if you can add a picture into the TLDR, especially because you're a designer. I'm assuming that the top image, like the title image, is probably a representation of that. But like the final solution and then just having images, I think would be really nice too.
Well, this is like super nitpicky, but I noticed some of the fonts like at a small size, like you're using like the thin weight. I feel like I usually like to steer clear of that if it's something you want them to read really easily, especially against like a colored background. It's a little harder to read, and you want things to be parsable. So, quick nitpick.
I see.
Another nitpick. So we're still on TLDR, where you say the final solution harmoniously integrates two key interventions. You don't need to add adverbs. Like, let me be the judge of whether it's harmonious or not. You don't need to like tell me that it was like good. I pick up on this because I assume that like this is your writing style and it's like elsewhere in the portfolio. So it seems nitpicky, but I think it applies to like all writing in general in your case studies.
Okay, should we move on to the second portfolio?
Yes.
Sure.
Hopefully that helps you, Mayuka. So let's move on to the second one. Okay, this one is from a cohort student.
It's my cohort student.
Yay. Yay.
Okay, cool. Oh my god. Yeah, so I took this link directly from what they submitted, but seems like it's a redirected link, so be careful with that in the future. So this is the landing page.
Right off the bat, my passion is bringing purpose to designs while making them visual appealing. Like, yeah, obviously, like all designers do that. So that is a waste of a sentence. Take it out.
Do you guys have examples of what like a good first statement, like a first introductory statement is for portfolio?
Yeah, good question. I mean, okay, not to toot my own horn. It's like, let me pull up my portfolio. So my first sentence is, I'm a data-driven product designer passionate about productivity tools with a focus on onboarding users and leveraging AI. I don't think a lot of designers can say that. And it's very specific to the type of role and the type of design that like really lights me up.
Got it. Yeah, that's good.
I think along the same line, I don't have anything that I pull up, but on my LinkedIn, I have a very generic one, which is like passionate about like doing the best that I can for the business and the people. But that is like, as Kathy mentioned, it's just so generic. But then on my resume and when I'm talking to people on my portfolio, I talk about if I'm like research oriented, I'm content focused, I'm user advocate, like try to pull up a little bit more about like what I'm actually doing, depending on which role I'm applying to as well. And their focuses, I'd be like, oh, I'm an accessibility first content designer because I have a lot of understanding of those partnerships and the guidelines there. So I'm pushing for what makes me unique and what makes me a little bit different than all the other content designers that's out in the world. And everyone's got the base skills. Like if you don't have the base skills and you don't have the foundation, it's going to be hard to even do well here. So that's like a given. And then what makes that additional layer of, ooh, this is a very desirable candidate or collaborator or partner.
Yeah, I appreciate your guys' examples. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you guys if you had good examples because I don't think content design is my strong suit. So I can also learn from this. But overall, Michael, looking at your portfolio, I think the overall layout makes sense. I think one thing is if you have like a larger paragraph, like your first intro, first of all, you could probably cut this a little bit, but I would probably try to highlight a few keywords or a few key phrases, or at least one. As they were mentioning, it's a little bit generic. Like you did put your personality into it, but the personality part doesn't tie into your role as a designer, like what makes you unique as a designer rather than like your personality, which is shown. Another thing is I like how you put tags for each of your projects to kind of show what the area is. But for example, you have like Figma for all of them, and Figma is kind of a given, so you don't need to put that. Like it is good to show if it's like mobile, desktop, maybe, but maybe it's like some of these aren't necessary. And I think at a first glance, I don't know if you need to put like, okay, it took me a second to understand like what the colors meant, but maybe it's like a little bit distracting, especially because in under each of these there's like all of the colors. So it's not like something that can easily help me parse your projects necessarily. And then I think the contrast on them is a little bit like maybe make it a little bit lighter, like the background. And then another thing is I feel like I'm really nitpicky on like spacing and alignment. And so I quickly noticed that like a lot of the things aren't aligned. Like, for example, your top paragraph isn't aligned with your projects, for example. Another thing is like your top two projects are aligned with each other, left to right, but then the bottom two aren't. So that I think I see what you were trying to do. You wanted to make like the bottom almost aligned, but they aren't aligned. So that is another thing.
Yeah, I think have like a consistent structure will helps with like readings, readability, and just scanning in general. Okay, should we go into one specific case study? I think Michael specifically requests for one case study.
Yeah.
Let me look.
Yeah. Wait, I have one more thing. Where it says check out my design or motion graphics, photography, like it's too much. It makes me feel like you're scattered. Like I understand that you have a lot of strengths and a lot of like skills that you bring in, but it makes me wonder as a hiring manager, like, oh, what does he actually want to do? Like, does he actually want to be a designer, or does he want to do like more motion design or photography? And then like on the job, is he going to be like super like scatterbrained? So I would just like if you're looking for full-time UX design opportunities, like focus on that. And then if you're a career transitioner, like you're a graphic designer, like that's great, like bring that out, but like that's it. Don't like try to like bring a bunch of stuff into like your main page.
Okay.
Also, on that note, I just peeked over to the About Me section, and it's really full of a lot of different information as well. I think if you can take this and put it into About Me and just clean up everything, that would just help with the flow of the website and making sure that the homepage is very focused on what your goal is, what your objective is, getting a certain job, getting a certain like JD that works for whatever interests you have. Also, this is a nit. I just read through the whole page. I feel like there's a lot of different run-on sentences, misplaced commas, certain ways that you can just clean up the content. And the reason why I'm like focusing on the on the content is regardless of what kind of specialty you have, like content is how you communicate to people and how you're telling them like this is the value I bring, this is the way that I think, this is how I'm able to present complex information in clear manners that is one, not overwhelming to the recruiter, to allows the recruiter and hiring manager to really pinpoint what are the things that like Michael brings to the table, what are the things that he's able to do well, and 3, just get that like TLDR of what are the different things that they have accomplished so far, and how does that align with what I'm looking for the person to come support me on my project and my team and the business goals or whatever that we're trying to do. But yeah, like little details like that really just make the portfolio better.
I see. Okay, cool. Let's view this case study right here. Right off the bat, very weird visual layout with the thumbnail image. So you might be able to like alter some settings that kind of stretch your images or like scale it up, like when you kind of like zoom in and out of like, you see like the window frame. And
yeah, it's very interesting to see it on your screen versus mine because it's very different.
Yeah. Oh my god. And also like to Amy's point with like the whole typography layout and stuff, like these right here has very narrow like vertical spacing. So I do like recommend like looking into this a little bit and like references portfolio that you think are very visually like good, so you can learn like have a feel of how like they space out their work.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times designers are, or just in general, are afraid of white space. And I feel like using more white space than you need is sometimes a lot of like the advice I give to new designers. Because things feeling cluttered to me is always worse than things feeling a bit separated. Obviously, there is a limit, but.
Okay, let's go down to this. Problem solution.
I don't know what the tool actually does, just right off the bat, and I feel like I'd have to Google this. So I don't think you did a good job explaining. Like the tagline, like elevating a free experience with premium features throughout the product. Yeah, I don't know what it is. So in there, like you should be talking about like what you're doing as a designer, but also like what the product actually is. You don't want to lose people here, because if you lose people here, they're definitely not going to read the rest of your case study. And then also your solution, it feels very like it feels like a small project. Like you're very like feature specific about your solution, and so it makes you seem like a very like junior designer. I think your solution should be like you should talk about like this is like the final solution, like one thing, and not like kind of divide it into like disparate features.
Adding on to that, this might be a little spicy, but hang on. So I don't know if this is like, it seems very simple. Like it seems like the first paragraph you're saying a great way to get users to pay is to give them a taste of how great of a product the app is. I'm like, okay, so you kind of give them a little trial run. It's like, ooh, you like it? Well, you pay for it now. And then after enjoying certain features, they may want to explore the product to the fullest. I'm like, okay, so it's like an upsell strategy. So I kind of gleaned that from there. And then you say the problem is creating an opportunity for new users to subscribe and creating an opportunity to returning free users to become paid subscribers in the sign up flow, as well as the products once logged in. I just feel like it's a lot of words in there and not a lot of like essence of what you're trying to do. And then the solution seems like you've either tried to pull up like what that end solution was rather than like what or the things that you've done to actually land like that is the solution that we have. And this feels like I didn't go deeper into this. This is just like the first screen that I see. So I'm wondering like, I wonder why they chose this project. Like, is there more that I'm not seeing from this TLDR?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like in this, like, seems like you're trying to like define every single concept that you put into your portfolio, like say like freemium business model, and a lot of like explaining what these like UX terms are. I don't think I recommend this. Is going to make your case study very long and it looks like a dictionary instead of like a case study that is your own. So like think about it, like what actually like the part that you make happen, or like the story that you're trying to tell, instead of like make it sound like a textbook kind of like cookie cutter UX case study.
Mhm. I have like a general comment maybe with the last one as well. I think overall it's unclear to me like exactly what the context for the project was. Like, did you work on it with developers? Was it a real project, or is it a case study you did alone? I know that if it's a case study you just did by yourself, it should, like, you want it to look more professional than it is. But if there's anything that you could list, like, oh, I worked with a developer or like consulted with one, I feel like those are things that make it more legit. And then also like when you have visual design, like hi-fi designs without like referencing any kind of design system, I'm curious, like, where did those designs come, like, how did you make any of these visual design decisions? So yeah, that is something I'd like to see. It's okay if you didn't focus on that, but usually like in junior portfolios, I usually see like people create like a small version of a design system at least, or at least talk about where they got the inspiration from.
Yeah, adding on to the inspiration part, in industry heuristics under the research section, you pull up 3 NNG heuristics in there. I think it'll be great if you just call it out saying like, pulled out these 3 NNG UX heuristics because of these values and like how it relates to the product that I'm doing. Because right under the images, you have a table, and I was like looking at these numbers. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, what do these numbers represent? And then I was like, oh, they're trying to score it based on the heuristic scoring from those principles only, and then so it's like a lot of work on the recruiter to try to make sense of a lot of things to make sure that they're representing your work in a clear way, and really understanding like, is it a yes or is it a no? Should I pass it off to the hiring manager or not?
Yeah, and then I also am trying to figure out where are the results, like what happened, what was the impact of this project? Because I'm scrolling all the way down, I'm like, I don't see anything. So did you just do this on your own? Was this just like a little like side project? Even like if you don't have specific metrics, like if somebody has something nice to say about the app, you know, like if you can get a quote, like anything, like put it up, and put it like at the very top too, because like a lot of people put results at the end because that's like where you like naturally wrap up the story, but that buries the lead because you are assuming that people are going to get to the end of your case study, which is not always true. So put results at the top. And also, you say that this took 4 months, but I'm wondering, why did it take 4 months? Because I like looking at the work that was done, like I would say this kind of work would take like 2 weeks, like max. So either there's something that I'm missing, that I'm not understanding, in which case that is feedback for you. Like you need to incorporate that. Like what made this complex? What made it take so long? Or like it actually took 4 months and it was just a very slow process, in which case I'm going to tell you hiring managers don't like that. Like especially like today, it's really hard to like get into big tech, and so a lot of designers are looking for startups, and if you're looking for startups, like startups value velocity. And so if you're saying this took 4 months, like a startup would like kind of would balk at this. They'd be like, oh my gosh, like this person works too slow. So that is one of my main pieces of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it more like if it's complex and it takes time, like you have to find like a way to like justify for it, instead of like everything have to be fast in order to match the speed of startups.
And the thing about time is you're always trying to advocate for the best possible direction. So that too, you're trying to balance, like, what can I do? What is the best right now? What is the information I have at this time? I think that's why we spent some time on the main section, like the problem and solution, because when we read the solution, it didn't seem like you were doing that much. Like you add a button or you add a flow, but the flow itself isn't that like complex either. You're not like reimagining a lot of things. When you go into the competitive analysis and like taking a look at other things, it's like, oh yeah, you looked at different ways and you got inspired and you created this like high fidelity design. So definitely, if there's like projects that when you look at it and it seems like it is a little simple, try to make sure that you emphasize why it's not simple, or like why it took you that long, or why you did all these different things to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
sorry. Go ahead, Amy.
Oh, I was just quickly gonna say, like, when you put your projects on your portfolio, like, usually people are only putting like around 4. So if you have other projects, just think about which projects would best showcase like certain parts of your work. Like, say one project is a lot of research intensive stuff, but then maybe another project focuses on your visual design skills. I think it is really important to show projects that really like show something new or like impact, like you have to have a justification for why you're including this project. So like we said, this one might be like a little bit of a smaller effort, so you can think about like, should I even include this project? Like, is it showing something that I did differently than other projects? Yeah, that kind of thing. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Kathy.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say a general piece of feedback. Like Michael, if you're watching this, you're probably like you have stuff to follow up, like you have rebuttals, right? As we're giving the feedback or making the roast. So whatever you're like, you would like find yourself saying or trying to respond to us back, like put it in the case study, because like whatever rebuttal or like comeback you want to have, like that is the substance that is important to actually be in the case study. So that would be my piece of feedback.
Yeah. Also, just like a test run, think about it like an interview setting. If you were to run this through as an interview, does it make sense for them? Do they have a lot of follow-up questions? Do they understand like what your thought process is? Have you missed any details? That's why practices and mock interviews or just having a friend just look through your portfolio as well helps you kind of cover all of those gaps that you might not notice because you're so deep in there. And it happens to everyone. So keep at it.
Perfect. Okay, let's move on to the next portfolio. Okay, cool. Woohee.
Oh, this is the one where I wanted to mention that I can't personally access your website. So there's something there where like some people might not be able to access it. So important to look into that.
I see. One comment.
One quick, oh, sorry.
Let me
No,
say.
you go first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Over here you have like an animation for like all like different aspects of yourself, like animating like this. I think it might make use of like some highlight to make it stand out a little bit more. Because like right now, just like blend in with everything. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I had a general comment about all of the portfolios we've seen so far. I think people are a little bit afraid to play with font styles. Like overall, most of the fonts are similar. I think this one's a little bit like different, but anyways, I think like yes, there's something to be said about like minimalism, but you can have like a slightly more interesting font as either like an accent or a header or something like that. Because I feel like a lot of these fonts are blending together and I feel like it looks a little bit like you didn't think about it too much whenever your like title font is the same as your body font and it's the same as all of it. Yeah, just like a general comment, like think about like font is a big part about your design work. So I think people should think about it more.
I think we've seen a few portfolios in the past that looked very templatized. Like it looked
Yeah.
like you would just get it off of Canva or some Figma prototype. It's okay to start off with the good structure and the good skeleton, but then when you're putting in the little flares, like put your personality in there, whatever colors you like. Also, this is just me, but sometimes when I'm looking at resumes and portfolios, I just look at it. I'm like, is this like accessibility friendly? Do they use color contrast well? Are they using like really washed out colors? Do they think about the fact that things might not be accessible or covered behind modals, or things like when you take the browser window and move it back and forth, it goes into mobile mode. So it's like, does that make sense? And then if you call out like, I care about accessibility, and you don't have that, it's like, ooh, is this a miss on their part, or are they not aware of mobile adaptability either? But yeah, I'm noticing like spacing things as well, and I think that's just it's pretty common. So make sure your spacing and structure and everything like that is okay.
I see. Wow. I see that this designer have a lot, like 9 case studies on here.
Yeah, that's a lot.
What do you guys think about these? I feel like each of them have like a very unique like vibe to it. Like adaptive yoga, period care donation platform. I personally like social good kind of apps, so that's why like I'm a bit very drawn to these kind of case studies. But what do you guys think about having a lot of case studies?
I mean, I don't know, because like if it were like personally up to me, I don't mind, other than the fact that you know that the recruiter or the hiring manager isn't going to look at more than one or two maximum. So you just keep that in mind, and it should always be your first two that they're trying to look at. But like you personally, what I do is I have another tab that's like a little bit more less prioritized, that has like other projects in it. So like if people are interested or it's like particularly relevant, it's still on my portfolio, but I feel like the main page could focus on like that, like 4 to maybe 6 max. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like think about the UX of your portfolio, and this is where you can use like information architecture and content structure. If you want all of these to be on your front page, then put a header that says like my main project or like the things that I want to share most, and put a secondary header with the rest of the 6 being like other things you could explore. Or bring it, as Amy mentioned, bring it to a different tab and really dedicate it into other arts and crafts things that you've done, your different personalities, or not personality, but like your different like ways of hobbies, or like what interests you, or just try to make sure that your homepage is very focused, because this homepage is going to make or break the recruiter's attention on whether they even want to click into the other case studies. So yeah, like section things out, highlight it the way that you can, make sure that the most like impactful or the most like you learn the most things in that project, like they're at the forefront so that people can see what you're able to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say on the note of like a lot of case studies, you're putting like from a like a UX perspective, you're putting the cognitive effort, like the work on the person that's looking at your portfolio to choose. And so you're already like putting work on the other person by having like 9 case studies, right? So that's one. So think about that. And then 2, like some of these like they don't have like the actual like mock-ups or like the prototypes, and so all I'm going off of is an image. Like you also don't have tags, so I don't even know like why I should click on something like that, other than the fact that like, oh, I might be interested in yoga, which like you're taking a big chance on somebody like being specifically interested in certain things. So and like there's no guarantee that somebody will actually click into your case, one of these case studies, if like like any of these case studies. So you're taking a big bet by not putting like the actual mock-ups or the prototypes. Like you want somebody to go through this just this page and be like, okay, I think they're a solid designer. And there's no way for me to know that if I just see a picture of a woman like doing yoga. Like that does nothing for me.
Yeah, I think this is a really good place to put tags. Like try to reimagine tags in the way of like what are the things that you've done specifically? Was it visual design? Was it interaction design? But also if it becomes to the point where everything's overlapped, then just take that tag out, because it seems like you're doing it with every single one. So be mindful of what kind of information you're putting here. Seems like you like the grid format, and then when you start adding more content, it is going to look weird. So it might be a chance for you to think about like different ways that you want to group items. So you have that additional context. And then one thing I'm sure like now recruiters know you can click into pictures and things like that. But if you were to go into this on mobile form, I haven't tested it on my phone, but I think it's not that clear for me that these are clickable images. So think about that as well, of like, how am I making sure that people are actually going into the case study? Should I put a button there? Should I make it a little bit more activated when people are interacting with it? Things like that. But I think it's clear. It's just it's a little too bare. So make sure that you add that context in.
Nice. Let's look at one case study real quick, and then we can view like the last portfolio. So I'm on Code Red, a mobile application to improve access to period care. So it's like a period kit donation platform. I would say like the thumbnail image so far doesn't really give a lot of context of what the UI look like at the end. So this one is a very like generic image. It doesn't give much context, so I would recommend like kind of swap it out for something that offers a bit more visual.
Yeah, this is looking like a news article to me so far.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maybe this also could use some like highlighting keywords and
Yeah. Typography right here. There's suddenly no more hierarchy when it comes to this. The color doesn't give a lot of contrast as well. And like down here, the final design section header like have a different color from these, which I assume to have the same like headers role. So like do pay attention to this.
mhm.
Okay, you got an award out of this. Nice.
I was just gonna say, like red dot, like that's a big deal. Like I don't know why you're not shouting that from the rooftops. Like that should be. I know you mentioned you mentioned like red dot at the very top. I actually missed that. But yeah, like you should be definitely like bringing that more to the forefront, because that's what makes you stand out. Because how many people can say like in my portfolio there's a case study that like won a red dot design award? Like not that many, right? So like shout it from the rooftops. Like people are superficial. Like play into that, right? Like as soon as somebody hears a word, they're like oh my gosh, like what did they do? So like play into that and like really emphasize it, and then like talk about the rest of your case study.
Honestly, like I feel like there's so much more flexing you can be doing with this project, and it's not very clear from the get-go. Like even the title image, maybe just pull up one of the images from way bottom of the page and like be like, this is what we've done, or even just like collage that with like, this is the designs that you've created with like the advertisements that you have mocked for like what it would look like in the real life. I think just there's so much that you can be flexing here with all of this. Also, this is just a nit for me, but I think the images are a little bit too big. I think maybe you can just cut down on the horizontal like buffer on the sides, because the content is so short and then the image is so big and wide that everything's squished to the left. So I have to force myself to just stay on the left lane a little bit and then shift my entire like eyesight to the right. But play around with it. Maybe this is a chance for you to use annotations to use that space on the right and left to be like, this is like the key point, or this is like the new design, or anything to really expand your technique that you've used for this project.
It's hard for me to review this project since I can't access it. But the
Yeah.
other thing is I can also not access it on my phone. So there's just something there that I can't access.
Yeah, I mean, let's see.
One note about personas. I don't like personas. I feel like if you're talking to users, you should just put like a specific user that you talk to that is representative of the target demographic there. Like it obviously get their permission, but it makes it so much more real as opposed to like a made up like person that is like an amalgamation of like all of the like people you actually talk to. And also I feel like because like this is such like a personal problem, right? So that is all the more reason to like surface like real people to like really like make that connection.
Let's see. Okay. I think we have time for one more portfolio and then like answer any questions our audience might have. So hopefully those comments has helped you a lot. So this is from another cohort students too. Lana.
Min, are you sharing? Okay, never mind. It was a little. Never mind.
Okay, let me share the link again in the private chat. Okay, can you guys see it?
Yeah,
Yes.
So this is like the full animation loading. If you guys didn't,
that's really cool.
Yeah, very unique. Yeah.
Quickly, the contrast on this, it might be barely enough, but I don't know, I'm a little doubtful on the contrast there.
Okay, let's go down.
Lots of animations. Also, your top header bar disappears, like basically when you get into the white space, like you can't see it at all anymore.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah.
It's liquid glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, is there any solution to this? Because, like, yeah, so that's one problem. Okay, but right here.
Hmm.
I have really cool animations going on. So
Yeah.
honestly, shout out to that.
Honestly, what's this? I feel like it's a little unclear where I'm supposed to click. Is it just the entire, like when you're,
Oh yeah.
okay, because at first it wasn't working. Actually, yeah, it took a while for it to work.
I click on like the thumbnail image.
Okay, it's working now. This is interesting because you can only see one project at a time, so you're focusing on that, which is pretty cool.
Work, play. I don't know why I cannot click on the play. And view.
Yeah, there might be some glitches overall in the site, but I like the vision.
I like the vision. The animation might have like, kind of interfere with the rest. And then I think your resume is not open access yet. So if you really want to submit this portfolio somewhere, like do definitely look at like how like the access channels to like all of your materials. Then we can go back and like look at one case study then.
Wait, before we jump to the case study, can I rapid fire a little?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I like to split screen my computer. So I was trying to split screen it, and then I noticed you locked it for like make sure you're on desktop for the full version. I was like, oh, cool, you considered that. But then I realized I'm completely locked out. Like I cannot see your portfolio at all until I bring it up to like 95% of my screen width. And then it like registers it as desktop mode. I think that's going to be really negative. I think you need to make sure that it is mobile accessible. You need to make sure that if that isn't possible with all of your graphics and animations, then just make a little mobile friendly one that just redirects to a different page, because it's going to be hard for a recruiter. Like, for example, you do an outreach on LinkedIn. You're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Here's my portfolio. They click in. They're like, okay, this is kind of worse than password protected too, because it's like now I have to really get into my computer, look at it all throughout, and then try to make sure I'm understanding the technical capability of this. And then I like the animation for each of those case studies, but then when I'm going back and forth, the middle one is like a little bit having a hard time, and then it starts like bringing it up a little bit too big. I don't know how big of a problem that would be, but I'm just like, ooh, maybe I'm going to break her portfolio at this point. And then lastly, I noticed that it is actually liquid glass on top, which is cool, but again, it's not visible. And I only see that little quirk when I get a little bit further down and I see your case studies behind reflected in it.
Where you can barely see it in the first place.
Yeah, it's a bit tough. Given that like the rest are white and then like only visible on the gradient.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth doing something cool visually if it's not accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So think about just honestly removing it if you can't find a good solution. Another thing with the animations is typically, I think accessibility wise, this might be a little nitpicky, but too much motion is also something that is an accessibility issue. And honestly, it does make me a bit dizzy when I go back and forth between things. Like think about like the speed of how fast things come up and if you need that much animation for each part of your portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that note, the first animation when you go into the site is really cool. I'm sure you've gotten good feedback on that. But if it does that every single time, I'm gonna be annoyed. I'm gonna be like, God damn it, not this again. So it's like, so can you make it so that you can detect if somebody has visited your portfolio before, or can you make it easy to bypass it, like skip for now? right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know that the animation is cool.
Yes, it is very cool.
Okay, let's visit one case study and then we can save some time. We might run over time a little bit, guys. So, okay, this is
I think
recently.
Yeah, I think my first impression is that you spent more time on your homepage than your case study page in terms of your visual sensibility, I guess. I feel like there's some inconsistencies and better ways to represent certain sections. Like gradients, I personally am a fan of gradients, but sometimes it can make things look a little like tackier depending on how you use it. So think about like if it's adding something to the page, if it's like fading to nothing, or if it's like a block. Like, I don't know. This is something that's like a trendy thing to do. So it's a little dangerous to always be using it. Also, personally, not a fan of like the block for like overview, like the headers. Those are just some quick visual things. A lot of accessibility, I'm not sure about as well. Like the white text on the yellow gradient, not sure about it.
Yeah, like the table of contents is great and it's sticky to the left, but then the color is so hard to see depending on which banner you're on top of.
Yeah,
And
that
I
too.
don't know which one I'm at either. Like maybe just color it differently when I'm at that section.
Yeah.
There's also like a lot of fonts going on. I think it's because you're using like graphic elements from your project that are like screenshots and stuff, but they look like things you created just for your website. So it looks like there's a lot of, well, actually, even disregarding that, there is a lot of fonts going on. I feel like it's really useful to generally create like a design system just for your portfolio as well. Just like make sure you're setting like consistent headers, body fonts, subhead fonts.
Sizing, font, typography, spacing, like the different types or like the wedge, like the widths of everything. Like you have to be consistent because if you're going to be a UX designer, that's where they're going to start looking at you and be like, ooh, do they have the foundational knowledge? Are they aware of that? Like, do they want to be a good designer from their portfolio as well, and how does that reflect into products or services? And spacing, it seems off. Like the problem pictures are really small. I don't know if that's just me, but I don't know what value those pictures bring if it's going to be so small too. I think they're just like cute images.
I think they are more like illustrations for
Okay.
then yeah.
Yeah.
It might, if you added like a little icon like this, might be a bit distracting since it have so many details into it, and people might try to like decode what they actually are. So if you want to make it like a background, maybe like make it a background, but like blur it up. But like make it full screen so it doesn't look like too many tiny little elements.
Yeah, I was gonna say overall, the font is way too small. Like as soon
It's
as
small.
I go in, I'm like, I'm not gonna have a good time reading this. Like I'm not looking forward to the next minute of my life. And you're basically like gonna make me zoom in and zoom out. And you're making me do work. Like that's not a good first impression for a hiring manager or a recruiter. And then also, this also makes me wonder, like, is she just a designer who's like into like designing flashy things, but she's not good when it comes to the actual like product thinking or the actual user experience? Because like at the very beginning, like you were really strong with like the animations, motion design, visuals. So you are essentially priming us psychologically to be really critical of your visuals. But you better carry through here, which you're not.
Yeah.
That's
Plus
true.
one, the images
Yes.
are very top heavy. And then when you go deeper and deeper, it seems like there's not too much. And also, I'm wondering, like, I was looking into the content and what you're writing, and plus one to what Kathy said on like what is the essence of what you're trying to say. Like under the user persona one is like, before beginning the design process, we need to deeply understand who we're actually designing for. Designing with users in mind ensures that. Like, yeah, we know. So you can just skip all of that and then just say, I created 2 personas based on these criteria, this kind of demographic, these wants and needs, and just dive right in. Because it's a lot and people are not spending this much time. we're looking at it and trying to critique it, so we're going into the detail. But for recruiters, you're lucky to get maybe 5 minutes of actual attention on it, because they'll skip and they'll like skim through, see what you're doing, what are the effects, what are your conclusions, and then see if there's actually thinking behind it, rather than I created something and it looks so nice. It's like, okay, so what? Like, why does it matter to me? Why did it matter to them? What value did it bring to anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just the color. I just feel like this color is really hard for my eyes.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah.
Please.
I can clearly see that you're really strong like designers in terms of like motion and like prototype, like hi-fi prototype. But then maybe you have like might have neglected a little bit the design of your portfolio and like didn't really treat it as like a UX product on itself. So like really do pay attention to it. And as you can see, like, yeah, there have been a lot of like just comments on just the colors and like the font consistency of it. So yeah, do kind of like pay attention to those things.
Also, the color, just a side note, I'm now noticing that it might be the color of the product that you created, but then too, you should probably contrast it, because everything's blurring together for me. Like, I don't know where the mobile screen ends and starts. Like, I'm sure I can guess because of the shape, but then everything is just this orangey, like tan color. And I think we can just make it something else, like light blue, maybe. I don't know. Check your colors. Do what you think best.
Yeah.
Also, I noticed there's not a title on this project at all, which is interesting.
Oh. I just feel like the image is like the title in itself.
Well, I just don't even know what to refer to it as, though, like if I'm thinking about that. But I guess it says on the home screen, but
yeah, also it's not responsive when I kind of like zoom kind of horizontally enlarge and like make my window frame smaller. It doesn't really like turn into like a hamburger, or yeah. I think you have to like look into like the accessibility of this portfolio a little bit more and kind of like make like adjustment. Right. All right. I think we're done with like the roast part. We can take some time like answer any questions people might have. Or like offer if you guys can offer any tips in general, like from like the roast session you see today, what people can actually do. I see Janice came back from the last session and actually iterate on her portfolio. So great work on that. We'll probably be able to like take a look next time if this session came back. Okay. What do you guys think about today? Roast shop.
are you asking us or the
Yeah, you asking
viewers? Okay.
yes.
I feel like this was super fun. It was nice to see a variety of portfolios with different strengths and weaknesses. And I feel like it's nice to learn from other portfolios that aren't yours, but also like see what people think of yours directly. I wish we had like more time for each case study, because I feel like I couldn't get like a total grasp of each project. But I mean, this is kind of realistic to like what hiring managers are seeing when they're parsing your work. So it might be just this amount of time. So honestly,
I was
maybe
gonna say,
realistic.
Amy, if you couldn't get a grasp of any of the projects, that means they all sucked at doing it.
Yeah, fair. Yes, that too.
I think definitely, like for everyone on the call right now, check out last week's resume roast and the points that Kathy made on, like make sure that you're showing purpose, like you're showing intention behind it. Everything has value. And then when you catch their attention with your resume, then use the portfolio as that place to really say, like, this is what I'm doing. This is the value that I brought. This is the kind of like impact that I brought as a designer or as a partner. And think about the real estate. I know that now it's very popular to have page lists. What is that? Like infinite scroll, and you can just continuously go down, but still kind of think in terms of real estate of each page, each case study. If it goes beyond 2-3 pages, even with the images, it's going to be hard. So it's a work in progress. Everyone is like, oh, I'm really happy with where my portfolio is. But then the next day you look at it and you're like, oh, I could have done that better. So just be reflective, be introspective, and just take it as it comes, because there's always going to be something cool. Like bento box used to not be as popular, but now every other portfolio is doing the bento box design. And I like it. I'm on that board. So, stay adaptable and flexible.
Yeah, one general piece of feedback. The writing is not very good in these case studies. Like, come on, guys. Like, everybody has access to ChatGPT. Like, what I would do is like write a prompt that's like, hey, like I need this to be like no fluff, but it needs to be really good, like good writing, like edit for good writing. That's the prompt that I always use. And like for clarity and good structure, and just feed it into ChatGPT, or find somebody who has really good writing and just like write it in this voice and tone, right? There is no excuse for bad writing these days. So yeah, you guys need to like hop on that. Like go to ChatGPT, like learn how to prompt, and then like revamp like all of the writing in your case studies, especially the titles. Like I was on you guys for that, and there's a reason for it, because I hate when I see like fluffy sentences that don't need to waste real estate.
Also, if you take out the fluffy sentences, you can increase the text size into, again, what Amy said about having some standards around what kind of design system you're using, but you can increase and play around with text without it feeling overwhelming with like this paragraph that turned into 16 points. It's more like 2 sentences that's at 16 points. So think about that, play around with the visual hierarchy and just the overall story of your portfolio.
Cool. What do you guys think about like best site to like host or like create your portfolio with, like best website builder? I see some submissions, they have like Behance, they have Canva. Is this still better to have like a whole website to your own? What do you guys think?
I don't have a website, so I might not be the best person for this.
I'm also not the best person because I would get roasted so hard if you guys saw my portfolio at the moment. I'm using Wix, so I would not recommend that. It's just like I haven't had time to move it over, but I've heard Framer and Webflow are good. Webflow might require a little bit of coding knowledge. I'm not quite sure, but I honestly think you can use anything if you have a good enough and critical enough design eye with it. Yeah, you shouldn't be relying on your website builder to, provide the template and structure. You should be doing that yourself. I think, yeah, because we've seen a lot of portfolios, it's easy to identify, oh, this looks like a Framer portfolio. Like if it's becoming like easy to tell, like these hiring managers are seeing way more portfolios than us. So like keep that in mind. They'll see the stuff that you inherited.
Yeah, that's great.
If I were to do my portfolio again, I would probably use Framer, or I would just use one of the AI prototyping tools like V0 or Manus. I think before my advice was like, oh, like you could just do it, like you could just like prototype it on Figma. But like now with the like actual prototyping tools, I feel like there's no excuse to not have an actual website. So that's my take. It's like so easy to like generate a landing page these days that looks good. I would start with V0 or Framer.
I see. Oh, God. Okay. And you're hosting like an AI workshop for designers, Kathy, right? For cohort students, right? This Sunday?
I am, yes.
Yeah. So give me like the gist of it. And yeah, by the way, if you sign up for Copass AI, as we put in the comments and in like the description of this event, you can actually observe these workshops for free. And these are like dedicated lectures that our coach put times in and like are very good secret sauce. I think Amy and Jenny will be having like upcoming lectures as well. And it's only like available to like Copass observers. Yeah. Kathy, you can spill a bit about that workshop.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I think the issue is a lot of designers are like hesitant to adopt AI tools because I don't know, they're afraid that it's going to take over their jobs, which I think it will. So you better hop on the AI train right now before it leaves. So for this workshop, I specifically talk about like how to use AI to ideate. Like I basically use it as my second brain, like ChatGPT, how to prompt well. It's interesting because my boyfriend is an engineer and I'm a designer, and we prompt very, very differently. And so I think as a designer, one of your superpowers is being able to like have clear requirements, but also think in an abstract way. So I talk about like all those things, like how to distill your design superpowers into like prompting and like exactly where and when to bring AI into your process, whether it's ideation or prototyping.
Nice.
Really
Okay.
good.
Cool.
So excited.
Yay, me too. Okay, I think that's it to our session today. We're already like 10 minutes over time, but thank you so much everyone for tuning in, and special shout out to Kathy, Amy, and Jenny for offering really personalized and very good like juicy feedbacks. Hopefully like the intensity of today kind of like rose on some of like the designers who submitted the case study will help you, and like don't take it really like too personal, because these are like advices that our designers, like our design coach, like learned the hard way. So yeah, it's like you shortcut your way by attending these workshops and get your stuff posted and build in public.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think most of these portfolios are already better than my portfolio, so please don't go to my portfolio because I haven't updated that in like
I
2
feel that too.
3 years.
Yes.
Mine would get roasted so hard, so I'm like almost a hypocrite. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I know I was harsh today, but you guys asked me to be harsh, to be mean. But like, I'm already like quite impressed by these portfolios. Even
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
it's
they were good. We just didn't have time to, sugarcoat things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, great. We're gonna end the session now, and like we're gonna skip the 4th of July session, and moving on to like I think LinkedIn profile roast next time instead. And then like we're gonna hop back into case study roast. So like anyone who want like specific feedback on like how like the case study should be structured, should look like, definitely tune into those like one of those later sessions. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We have a lot of participation today. And yeah, so next time, hopefully we can do it more often and get more portfolio roasted. So bye all.
Bye.
Okay.